The alien alliance watched from orbit as 500,000 human soldiers were dropped onto a planet known as Keros 9. It was not a battlefield. It was a death planet. The air was toxic. The ground was alive with predators. Storms could tear metal apart in seconds. The aliens believed this was mercy. No bullets. No bombs. Just nature doing the killing. The humans were left with broken ships, limited weapons, and no way to leave. From orbit, alien commanders calmly recorded data. They expected screaming. They expected chaos. They expected extinction within days. But something strange happened. The humans did not panic. They gathered. They spoke quietly. They started building shelters. One alien officer laughed and said, "Let them struggle. The planet will finish them." Below, on the surface, a human commander looked at the burning sky and said only one sentence: "We survive, or we change the galaxy trying." The death planet was watching. So was the galaxy. The planet was called Keros 9. Across the galaxy, it was known by another name, the Death Planet. No intelligent species had ever lived there, not for long. The world was violent, cruel, and alive in ways no normal planet should be. Storms ripped mountains apart. The ground burned during the day and froze at night. The air itself was poisonous to most life. This was the place the alien alliance chose to end the war with humanity. High above the planet, massive alien ships hovered in silence. Their metal bodies reflected the red light of Keros 9's dying sun. Inside those ships were 500,000 human soldiers, captured during the final battles of a long and brutal war. The aliens did not call them prisoners. They called them a problem. One by one, the transport bays opened. Human drop ships were released without ceremony. No guidance. No return path. Many ships were damaged on purpose. Some had barely enough power to slow their fall. From the alien command deck, the operation looked clean and simple. "Release complete," an officer said calmly. Screens showed thousands of burning streaks entering the planet's atmosphere. Each one carried men and women who knew exactly what this place was. They had heard the stories. They had seen the recordings. No one survived Keros 9. The alien commanders believed this was mercy. They did not want to waste weapons or fleets. The planet itself would do the killing. "This world will finish them in days," one commander said. "If not hours." Another alien laughed softly. "Humans are stubborn. Let's see how long stubbornness lasts here." On the surface, the dropships crashed across deserts, jungles, and broken stone plains. Some exploded on impact. Others skidded across the ground, tearing open like broken eggs. Human soldiers poured out into chaos. The air burned their lungs. The sky roared with constant thunder. The ground shook as massive creatures moved beneath it. Screams echoed. Orders were shouted. Then something unexpected happened. The humans did not break. Captain Elias Rourke pulled himself from the wreckage of his ship. Blood ran down his face, but his eyes were clear. Around him, soldiers struggled to stand, coughing and gasping. He looked at the sky. Alien ships were already pulling away. They were leaving. Rourke understood, in that moment, this was not a prison. This was an execution. "Form up," he shouted, his voice cutting through the noise. "Anyone who can move, on me." Other officers did the same across the planet. Despite injuries and fear, humans gathered. They checked weapons. They dragged the wounded into cover. They took stock of what little they had. No supply drops came. No rescue signals answered. Only silence from the stars. As night fell, Keros 9 showed its true nature. The temperature dropped fast. Winds screamed like living things. Shadows moved where no life should exist. Creatures came. They attacked camps without warning. Large, armored beasts with too many eyes and teeth tested human defenses. Smaller things crawled through cracks, biting and poisoning. Humans fought back. Rifles fired. Blades flashed. Fires burned through the darkness. Many died, but many lived. From orbit, alien sensors watched in quiet surprise. "Casualties are lower than expected," a technician said. "How is that possible?" Another asked. The lead commander narrowed his eyes. The first night always takes time. Below, humans learn quickly. They learned which creatures feared fire. They learned which plants burned with toxic smoke. They learned that the ground itself could be used as a weapon. Captain Rourke gathered what remained of his unit before dawn. Fewer than half were still standing. Faces were tired. Eyes were hard. Someone finally asked a question no one wanted to say. "Sir, no one is coming for us, are they?" Rourke looked around at the ruined landscape, at the broken ships, at the dead. "No," he said honestly. Silence followed. Then he spoke again. "But this planet hasn't killed us yet." That sentence spread across human camps like fire. Across Caros 9, similar words were spoken by different leaders. "We are still here. We are still alive." The death planet had failed once. The aliens did not notice the change immediately. But something had begun. Not fear, not despair. Something far more dangerous. Human resolve. And Caros 9 was about to learn what that meant. Morning came slowly on Caros 9. The red sun rose through thick clouds, lighting a world covered in smoke, broken ships, and blood. The night had been brutal. Fires still burned where humans had fought to stay alive. The ground was marked with claw marks, burned earth, and the bodies of creatures that should never have existed. Captain Elias Rourke stood on a ridge of black stone and looked over what remained of his camp. Out of 2,000 soldiers who landed near him, only 1,200 were alive, and many of them were injured, but they were standing. That alone felt like a victory. The planet did not rest. As the sun rose higher, the air became thick and hot. Breathing hurt. Every breath tasted like metal and ash. Soldiers removed parts of their armor just to survive the heat. Then the ground began to move. At first, it was small vibrations. Then cracks spread across the land. From beneath the soil, massive creatures pulled themselves free. Their bodies were covered in stone-like armor. Their mouths open wide, showing rows of grinding teeth. Someone shouted, "Contacts!" The humans did not panic. They formed lines. They raised weapons. They aimed for joints and eyes. They had learned something during the night. The creatures were strong, but they were not smart. Gunfire echoed across the plains. Explosions tore open the ground. Several soldiers were crushed or dragged away, but the humans held their line. When the last creature fell, the humans stood in silence, breathing hard. Rourke looked at the bodies. "Break them down," he ordered. "Armor, bones, anything useful." Some soldiers hesitated. "Sir, you mean use them?" "Yes," Rourke said. "This planet wants us dead. We will use it instead." Across Caros 9, the same lesson was being learned. Human camps adapted fast. Wrecked ships became shelters. Metal scraps became tools. Creature hides became armor. The humans stopped thinking like soldiers in a war. They started thinking like survivors. High above the planet, alien sensors tracked the activity. "This is not normal," one alien scientist said. "They're organizing." The commander dismissed the concern. "It will not last. Hunger and disease will finish them." But hunger did not come as expected. Humans tested local plants carefully. Many were deadly. Some were not. A few could be cooked into something barely edible. Water was harder. Rivers were toxic. Rain burned the skin. So humans built filters. Slow, simple, but effective. Every solution cost lives. But every death made the survivors smarter. By the third day, human signals filled the airwaves. Short-range radios connected camps. Information spread fast. Which areas were safer. Which creatures hunted at night. Which storms to hide from. The death planet was teaching them. And humans were learning. On the fifth day, the planet tried something new. The sky darkened without warning. Wind screamed across the land. Lightning struck again and again, shattering rock and metal alike. A megastorm. Human camps were hit hard. Tents were torn away. Towers collapsed. Fires were extinguished. Many camps would have died, but some did not. Those camps had dug deep into the ground. They had learned to hide, not stand. When the storm passed, survivors crawled back into the light, and they shared what they learned. From orbit, Alien commanders grew uneasy. Casualties are still below projections, an officer said. That is impossible, another replied. The storm should have wiped them out. The commander watched the data in silence. They are adapting, he said slowly. Below, Captain Rourke gathered his people again. Faces were thinner now, eyes sharper. We stop waiting, he said. This planet attacks us every day. We will prepare before it does. How? Someone asked. Rourke pointed to the horizon. We learn it, every part of it. Scouting teams moved out. Hunters tracked predators instead of hiding from them. Engineers studied the land and the storms. The Death Planet had expected fear. Instead, it was being studied. On the seventh night, something changed. The creatures did not attack. The wind did not scream. The ground was still. The silence was worse. Every human felt it. The planet was watching. And somewhere deep beneath the surface of Keros 9, something ancient began to stir. The first lesson was complete. Humans were not broken. They were becoming dangerous. The silence did not last. On Keros 9, silence was never peace. It was a warning. Captain Elias Rourke felt it deep in his bones. The wind had stopped. The air was heavy. Even the smallest creatures had disappeared. The planet was holding its breath. Rourke ordered full alert. Human camps across the region did the same. Weapons were checked. Fires were lowered. Lookouts climbed a high ground. Then the ground began to shake. Not like before. This was deeper, slower, stronger. Something massive was moving beneath the surface. The earth split open several kilometers away. A creature rose from the ground, taller than any building humans had ever seen on this planet. Its body was covered in thick stone plates. Its eyes glowed like burning coal. Every step crushed the land. Some soldiers froze. Others whispered prayers. Rourke did not shout. Spread out, he said calmly. Do not face it head-on. The creature roared. The sound rolled across the plains like thunder. It charged. Explosives detonated beneath its legs. The creature stumbled, but did not fall. Weapons fired at weak points humans had learned to look for joints, eyes, exposed tissue. Several soldiers were crushed instantly, but the humans did not run. They adapted mid-fight. Heavy weapons drew its attention, while smaller teams attacked from the sides. Traps collapsed under its weight. Fire burned into cracks in its armor. After hours of fighting, the giant finally fell. When it hit the ground, the impact was felt across miles. The humans stood there in shock. They had killed one of the planet's guardians. They did not celebrate. They worked. The body was stripped. Samples were taken. Bones were cut. Armor plates were removed. This was no longer survival. This was conquest. Across Keros 9, similar battles took place. Humans were no longer waiting for attacks. They were hunting dangerous zones on purpose. They mapped the land. They marked nests. They tracked migration paths of predators. The Death Planet was becoming familiar. High above, alien monitoring stations recorded everything. This is not possible, an alien scientist said. They're reducing predator numbers. The commander's mandibles tightened. Increase observation. I want no mistakes. Alien drones were deployed. Silo machines entered the atmosphere, cloaked and fast. They observed from above, recording human movements. One drone flew too low. A human sniper took it down. The drone crashed in flames. Within minutes, humans surrounded it. For the first time since arriving, humans held intact alien technology in their hands. Engineers worked carefully. They did not understand everything, but they learned enough. Energy sources, materials stronger than steel, data storage systems. Small improvements followed. Better tools, stronger armor, longer range communication. Human camps began to connect across continents. 500,000 humans were no longer isolated. They were becoming a network. Captain Rourke received his first long-range message. Another commander, different region. The message was short. We are alive. We are adapting. Share everything. Rourke replied immediately. Agreed. Survival is no longer enough. On the 10th day, the Death Planet changed tactics again. Instead of single large creatures, swarms came. Thousands of fast, sharp predators attacked from all sides. They overwhelmed weaker camps. Screams filled the air. Humans responded with firewalls, choke points, and controlled retreats. Losses were heavy, but the swarms broke. The planet was bleeding. The humans noticed something important. Each attack was slightly weaker. The predators were running out. The death planet was not endless. It had limits. That realization spread like wildfire. Hope was dangerous. But humans had never feared danger. Alien commanders now argued openly. This world should have erased them, one said. They are not normal, another replied. They are changing the environment. The lead commander finally spoke. If this continues, they will survive. Silence followed. Below, Captain Rourke stood before his people. We stopped thinking like victims, he said. This planet tried to kill us. It failed. He looked at the burning horizon. We make it ours. That night, human fires burned brighter than ever before. And deep within Caros 9, ancient systems reacted. The planet had one final answer left. Something it had never used before. Something meant for extinction. The death planet was preparing its last lesson, and humanity was ready to learn it. The death planet made its move. The sky above Caros 9 changed color without warning. Clouds twisted into dark spirals. The ground vibrated with a deep, steady rhythm, like a heartbeat. Captain Elias Rourke felt it before the alarm sounded. This isn't normal, he said quietly. Across human territory, sensors reacted. Devices made from alien scraps and human parts lit up at once. Readings spiked. Energy levels rose far beyond anything seen before. Then the planet attacked. From deep underground, massive towers of stone and metal rose into the sky. They were not creatures. They were structures, ancient and smooth, as if built by something long dead. The death planet was not only alive. It was designed. Energy beams shot from the towers, cutting across the land. Entire camps vanished in white light. Mountains cracked open. Shock waves threw soldiers through the air. Thousands died in minutes. Alien commanders watched from orbit in satisfaction. There, one said, that is a correction. But the satisfaction did not last. Humans did not scatter. They adapted again. Survivors moved fast. Camps broke into smaller units. Communication lines rerouted. The towers became targets instead of fears. Rourke gathered his officers. These things are control systems, he said, not weapons alone. Find weak points. Human teams moved under fire. Losses were heavy. But humans learned quickly. The towers needed time to recharge. Their bases were vulnerable. Explosives were placed. Power lines were cut. One tower fell. Then another. Each destruction sent shock waves through the planet itself. The death planet screamed. Alien monitors spiked wildly. What are they doing? An alien scientist shouted. They're damaging the planetary core systems. The commander's voice grew tight. That should not be possible. The humans had crossed a line. They were no longer surviving the planet. They were breaking it. Fearing total failure, the alien alliance made a decision. They intervened. For the first time since abandoning the humans, alien ships descended toward the surface. Not to rescue, to contain. Dropships pierced the atmosphere. Alien soldiers deployed near human-controlled zones. Their orders were simple. Eliminate leadership. Destroy infrastructure. End it now. Captain Rourke watched alien ships land beyond the hills. So, he said calmly, they finally came back. Human soldiers prepared. They had never expected mercy. They had expected this. The first clash was brutal. Alien weapons were powerful. Armor advanced. Precision strikes cut down human fighters. But humans fought differently now. They used terrain. They used traps made from monsters. They used captured alien weapons, modified and brutal. Aliens were fast. Humans were relentless. The aliens had trained for battle. Humans had trained for survival. That difference showed. Alien squads were ambushed. Communication was disrupted. Human forces struck supply lines instead of formations. Rourke led a counterattack that destroyed an alien command post within hours. Captured alien soldiers stared in shock. "These humans should be dead," one whispered. Instead, they were winning. From orbit, panic spread. Human resistance was far stronger than expected. "Deploy more forces," one commander ordered. "No," another replied. "If we commit fully, the galaxy will notice." The lead commander made a terrible choice. Begin orbital strike preparations. They would erase the humans completely. But orbital strikes needed targeting data. And humans were already inside alien systems. Using captured tech, human hackers broke into alien networks. Data flowed freely. Rourke received a message. "They're going to glass the planet," an officer said. Rourke did not hesitate. "Then we take their eyes." Human teams launched attacks against alien satellites and surface beacons. One by one, targeting systems went dark. Orbital strikes failed. The alien fleet hesitated. Every second allowed humans to advance. And then the final mistake was made. An alien cruiser descended too low. Humans captured it, not destroyed. Captured. The signal went out across Caros 9. Humans had an alien warship. Silence fell across the alien command channel. "This cannot happen," someone whispered. On the surface, Rourke stood inside the alien ship's command deck. Lights flickered. Alien symbols covered the walls. He touched the controls. Human hands on alien power. "This planet didn't kill us," he said quietly. "And neither will they." Far below, the deaf planet shook violently. Its systems were failing. Above, the galaxy watched something impossible unfold. The abandoned were no longer victims. They were becoming a threat. And the aliens finally understood the truth. They had not executed humanity. They had created it anew. The capture of the alien warship changed everything. For the first time since arriving on Caros 9, humans controlled something that did not belong to the planet. The massive ship rested on the broken ground, like a wounded beast. Its engines were silent, its weapons locked down. Inside, human engineers worked without rest. They did not understand all the alien systems, but they understood enough. Power flowed. Lights obeyed human commands. Weapons came online under human control. Captain Elias Rourke stood on the bridge and watched stars through alien glass. For a brief moment, he allowed himself to imagine leaving this world. Then the planet reminded them it was still there. The ground shook violently. Deep cracks spread across the land. Entire regions collapsed into fire-filled chasms. Ancient towers rose again, damaged but furious. The deaf planet was breaking, not from strength, from failure. Human attacks had damaged systems that were never meant to be touched. The planet's balance was gone. Weather patterns became wild and unstable. Storms crashed into each other. Heat and cold fought without order. The planet was no longer hunting humans. It was losing control. Alien commanders saw the signs immediately. "This world is destabilizing," an alien scientist warned. "If this continues, Caros 9 may collapse." The lead commander's voice was tense. "That planet has existed for millions of cycles." "Not like this," the scientist replied. "The humans are dismantling its core systems." Silence followed. The unthinkable had happened. The deaf planet was failing. On the surface, humans felt it too. Earthquakes struck daily. Some camps were lost entirely. But humans adjusted again. They moved fast. They abandoned unsafe zones. They followed data, not fear. Human leadership expanded. No longer small groups. Now it was a network. Commanders shared resources. Scientists shared data. Every human effort was connected. 500,000 humans were becoming one force. Rourke met with other human leaders using alien communication systems. Their faces appeared on glowing screens. "We cannot stay here forever," one commander said. "This planet will kill us all if it collapses." Rourke nodded. "Agreed. We prepare to leave." That sentence would have sounded insane weeks earlier. Now it was a plan. Human engineers studied the captured warship. It could not carry everyone, but it could teach them how alien drives worked, how navigation systems functioned. how energy shields were shaped. Humans began building, using alien metals and planet materials. They constructed launch platforms. They repaired old human ships. They created new ones, ugly, rough, but strong. The Death Planet fought harder as humans prepared. Massive storms wiped out entire regions. Lava flooded valleys. The sky burned for days. Humans lost thousands, but they did not stop. Every death pushed them forward. Above, the alien fleet argued. "They are escaping," one commander said. "We must stop them." "We cannot risk full engagement," another replied. "The galaxy is watching." The lead commander made a bitter decision. "We withdraw from low orbit. Observe only." Fear had entered alien command. Not fear of defeat. Fear of what humans would become if they survived. On Keros 9, launch day came without ceremony. Human ships lifted off under heavy fire from the planet itself. Energy bursts struck the sky. Lightning wrapped around engines. Some ships were lost. Many were damaged, but most broke free. Cheers echoed across human channels. For the first time, humans left the Death Planet alive. But not all of them. 500,000 had arrived. Only hundreds of thousands would leave. The planet claimed its price. As the last ships rose, Keros 9 began collapse. Its towers fell. Its storms burned out. Its core fractured. The Death Planet had failed its purpose. It had not erased humanity. It had forged it. From orbit, humans watched the world tear itself apart. No joy filled them, only resolve. Captain Rourke stood on the bridge of the captured alien warship. Around him, humans worked in silence. "We survived," someone said softly. Rourke shook his head. "No," he replied. "We evolved." The human fleet turned toward the stars. Behind them, the Death Planet burned. Ahead of them, the galaxy waited, and it had no idea what was coming. The human fleet moved in silence. The ships were not beautiful. They were different shapes, built from broken alien metal and human wreckage. Their engines were loud. Their hulls were scarred, but they were alive. Captain Elias Rourke stood on the bridge of the captured alien warship as stars stretched into lines. Humans were leaving the Death Planet behind, not as victims, as survivors, as soldiers. Alien space was close. Too close. The Alien Alliance had believed humans would die before ever reaching this point. They had not prepared defenses near Keros 9. Their outer systems were lightly guarded. That was their next mistake. Human ships dropped out of faster-than-light travel inside an alien mining system. Massive stations floated near a yellow star. Automated defenses reacted late. Rourke gave a simple order. "Disable, don't destroy." Human ships moved fast. They used alien weapons in strange ways. Energy bursts blinded sensors instead of burning hulls. Boarding teams launched within minutes. Alien defenders were shocked. "These are human ships," one alien shouted. "That is impossible." Humans poured into the station. They moved with purpose. No shouting, no fear. Every hallway was cleared with care. Every threat was removed. The station fell in less than an hour. Human losses were low. Alien prisoners were taken. Word spread fast through alien space. Humans were alive. Humans were attacking. Panic followed. Alien governments argued. Fleets were recalled from distant borders. Trade routes shut down. The galaxy felt the shock. Rourke watched the report scroll across alien systems. "They're afraid," an officer said. "They should be," Rourke replied. The humans did not stop. They moved from system to system, targeting supply depots, communication hubs, and shipyards. They avoided civilian worlds. They focused on control. Every attack was short. Every strike was precise. Aliens tried to fight back. They failed. Human tactics were unpredictable. Humans attacked from directions no one expected. They used damaged ships as decoys. They turned captured alien weapons against their creators. Each battle made humans stronger. Each battle made the aliens weaker. An alien fleet finally cornered the human force near a dead star. Dozens of alien warships blocked every path. The alien commander sent a message. "Surrender. You should not exist. Rourke answered calmly. We exist because you tried to erase us. The battle began. Alien weapons tore into space. Human ships scattered instead of forming lines. Mines exploded behind alien vessels. Boarding pods slammed into hulls. The fight was brutal. Human ships were destroyed. Lives were lost. But the alien fleet broke first. When it was over, human ships still floated among the wreckage. Alien survivors retreated. The message was clear. Humans could win. Across the galaxy, neutral species watched in fear and awe. They had heard stories of humans. Now they saw truth. Humans did not fight for conquest. They fought for survival. And survival had made them dangerous. Rourke ordered pause. The fleet gathered near a quiet star system. Repairs began. The wounded were treated. The dead were honored in silence. Rourke stood alone, looking at the stars. We can keep going. One commander said beside him. We can push deeper. Rourke nodded slowly. Yes, he said, but first we speak. A message was prepared. Not a threat, not a demand, a statement. It was broadcast across alien space, across neutral systems, across the galaxy. We were abandoned. We were tested. We survived. We do not seek extinction, but we will never be hunted again. The response was immediate. Some alien worlds surrendered without a fight. Others closed their borders. A few prepared for war. Humanity had returned to the galaxy, changed, hardened, watching. And far away, the leaders of the alien alliance realized the truth too late. The Death Planet had not ended humanity. It had unleashed it, and the final reckoning was still coming. The galaxy did not sleep. News of humanity's return spread faster than any ship could travel. Merchant worlds whispered. Military worlds prepared. Ancient species watched from behind silent shields. Humans were no longer a rumor. They were real. Captain Elias Rourke stood before a council of alien representatives on a neutral station. The room was large, cold, and bright. Dozens of species filled the air with fear and confusion. Some stared at Rourke with anger, others with disbelief, a few with quiet respect. One alien ambassador spoke first. You should not exist, it said again, its voice shaking. No species survives Keros 9. Rourke looked at the speaker. We didn't survive it, he said. We learned from it. Murmurs filled the chamber. Another representative leaned forward. The Alliance believed abandoning you was mercy. They believed nature would end you without blood. Rourke's eyes hardened. Nature tried, he said, and it failed. The truth settled heavily in the room. Images were displayed. Recordings from the Death Planet. Humans fighting monsters. Humans tearing down planetary systems. Humans launching into space under fire. Silence followed. The galaxy had no answer. Some species began to speak of surrender. Others demanded isolation from humans. A few quietly requested alliances. Fear was everywhere. But something else was there too. Understanding. The alien alliance leaders were not present. They had retreated behind their fleets. They were afraid to face what they had created. Rourke returned to the fleet with news. They are divided, one officer said. This is our moment. Rourke nodded. Yes, but not for revenge. Humanity faced a choice. Destroy the Alliance, or change the galaxy. A message arrived soon after. The Alien Alliance requested negotiations. The meeting took place in deep space, surrounded by human and alien fleets alike. Tension filled the void. The alien leader appeared on screen. You were meant to die, it said quietly. That was our mistake. Rourke did not interrupt. We did not understand humans. The alien continued. We believe suffering breaks all species. Rourke leaned forward. It does, he said, or it builds them. The alien leader bowed its head. We offer peace. The word shocked many, but Rourke did not accept immediately. There are 500,000 of us who arrived on that planet, he said. Less than that left. Their voices matter. A pause followed. Then speak, the alien said. Rourke spoke for the dead. He spoke of the nights of terror, of children who learned to fight, of soldiers who never saw the stars again. Every word was calm. Every word was heavy. When he finished, the galaxy listened in silence. The alien leader spoke again. "The Death Planet will be destroyed," it said. "Its systems dismantled. It will never be used again." Rourke nodded once. "That is not enough," he said. The alien's eyes widened. "You will remember," Rourke continued. "All of you. What happens when you test humans with extinction?" The Alliance agreed. Treaties were signed. Borders redrawn. New rules written. Humanity did not rule the galaxy, but it could no longer be ignored. As fleets withdrew, neutral species approached human ships. Some offered trade. Some offered knowledge. Some offered warnings. All offered respect. Humanity had earned it in blood. Rourke stood alone once more, watching distant stars. "Do you think they learned?" an officer asked. Rourke was silent for a long moment. "They learned fear," he said. "That's the first step." Behind them, human ships held position. Ahead of them, the future waited. And somewhere in the galaxy, the name Keros, 9 was spoken one last time, not as a weapon, but as a warning. One final chapter remained. The galaxy slowly returned to motion. Trade routes reopened. Borders stabilized. Fleets returned to their worlds. But nothing was the same anymore. Every species remembered the moment humans returned from a planet meant to erase them. Captain Elias Rourke stood on the observation deck, a human-built station orbiting a quiet blue star. It was not Earth. Earth was still far away. But this place was home now. Humanity had spread carefully. They did not rush. They did not conquer. They built stations, colonies, and listening posts. Everywhere they went, other species watched them closely, not with hate, with caution and respect. The Death Planet, once called Keros 9, no longer existed as it once had. Its ancient systems were dismantled. Its core was stabilized. The storms faded. The towers fell silent forever. The planet was no longer a weapon. Humans renamed it Perseverance. They did not erase its history. They preserved it. Memorial cities were built where camps once stood. Names of the dead were carved into stone and metal. Every human child learned what happened there, not to seek revenge, but to remember. Rourke attended the dedication of the first memorial. Veterans stood in silence. Some cried. Some stared at the ground. Some smiled softly, remembering those who never left the planet. 500,000 arrived. Less returned. But none were forgotten. A young human asked Rourke during the ceremony, "Did the planet hate us?" Rourke thought for a moment. "No," he said gently. "It tested us." The child nodded, as if that answer made sense. Across the galaxy, stories spread. Some species changed their laws. Some banned death worlds forever. Some studied humanity, trying to understand how suffering had made them stronger instead of weaker. They never fully understood, because humans were not special. They were just unwilling to surrender. The alien alliance still existed, but it was quieter now. Its leaders spoke carefully. Its fleets avoided human space. Its commanders remembered the cost of arrogance. Once a year, representatives from many species gathered at Perseverance. They stood together on ground that once tried to kill everything that touched it. They stood in silence. The galaxy remembered. Captain Rourke grew older. His hair turned gray. His scars never faded. But he lived to see something he never expected. Peace. Not perfect, but real. Humanity was no longer underestimated. And that was enough. On his final command day, Rourke stood before a new generation of officers. "You will be tested," he told them. "Maybe not like we were, but it will come." He looked at them carefully. "When it does, remember this. We were abandoned. We were meant to die, and we did not." The officers stood taller. Rourke smiled. Far beyond human space, a young alien cadet studied old records. Images of Keros 9. Reports of 500,000 humans left to die. The cadet asked their instructor, "Why did the Death Planet fail?" The instructor answered quietly, "Because it was designed to break bodies, not resolve." The lesson was simple. Never abandon humans. Never test them with extinction. Never assume suffering will end them, because when humans survive the impossible, they change everything. And somewhere in the stars, the legend lived on, not of a planet, but of a species that refused to disappear. The death planet failed. Humanity endured.